Hello everybody, Maven here, and the Thorn is often referred to as a PvP weapon, but let me tell you, it is easily one of the strongest weapons in PvE as well. I mean, it already was and just heavily underused and underrated, but even more so after its new functionality. Every time I use this thing, I'm just blown away at how powerful it is. And even more so with the Necrotic grips. I'm telling you, you have to give this a try. It's insane. I already did a build on the Thorn Necrotic grip a while back, but we are revisiting that today with some new updates to the build and also re-reviewing the Thorn itself. So let's get to it. Don't forget to drop a like, and I hope you enjoy. So obviously there's no need to mention the Thorn Catalyst because everybody already knows about it, and frankly it's sort of irrelevant to this video because it just grants extra range and stability, you know, PvP related stuff. What we really care about is the new overflow ability that it got. Kills create remnants, you pick up the remnants, and it grants 4 ammo back into your magazine, which can overflow your magazine up to 40. In heavy ad clear situations, this ability can relieve your need to reload entirely, and this is an absolute game changer for the Thorn because it reloads very slow. In previous seasons, I would have to use a loader mod when I use the Thorn, but now I don't have to. So today we are pairing it along with the Necrotic grip that says that melee hits spread poison similar to the Osteo Striga's poison, but a hidden trait of this exotic is that weapons of sorrow kills also spread poison, and Thorn is a weapon of sorrow. Therefore, this happens. One shot, 20 something kills. A single Thorn kill basically collats everything within like a 10-meter radius. And the amount of damage the poison does is actually incredible. You can even see in this clip that the orange bar Minotaur entirely dies just to the poison DOT. I didn't even have to shoot him a single time. It basically does the amount of damage Witherhoard does. And you can also apply this poison using your Threaded Needle melee ability or even just a simple uncharged Warlock slap. It's a great thing to do to fatter targets before you start DPSing them. And this brings us to the first update to this build since the last time I did a video on it. Last time, I used the aspect Mind Spun Invocation along with the Shackle Grenade so I can hold and consume the grenade to get the buff Weaver's Trance. So I was using it in conjunction with Thorn Necrotic Grip to have even crazier ad clear because the enemies that you poison will also get suspended and the ad clear is impeccable. And you can see what I mean by the background gameplay. However, this time around, I'm gonna tell you that the ad clear is good enough that we don't really need Weaver's Trance. It's somewhat overkill. We're going to use the grapple because the grapple melee will proc the poison from Necrotic Grip, and you pair this along with Mind Spun Invocation to generate 3 threadlings boosted by Thread of Evolution when you grapple, and you got yourself one chunky slap. So here's an example against Carl. Hit him with the grapple, 3 threadlings, apply poison, and apply unravel because grapple melee unravels and generates those unraveling seeker projectiles for even more DOT. And we chunk Carl for 2/3 of his health with 1 grapple. And I can tell you from experience, that does a lot of damage. So just to show you a comparison, here's the damage we do with 2 rockets from the Apex Predator, and it's just about the same amount of damage. So yeah, the grapple necrotic mind spun combo is no joke. And that brings us to the next topic, Thread of Generation. We are trying to get our grapple back as fast as we can, and Generation generates more grenade energy based on the amount of individual numbers of damage that you can produce, not by the amount of damage you do. Like if you do 5 million damage in one shot, for example, it won't generate much, but if you do 5 million damage in increments of 1 damage each, it's gonna be insane. You get it? So because the Thorn generates a ton of poison damage numbers, it's great for Thread of Generation. And now the next big thing for our grapple regeneration here is impact induction. Healing damage with a charged melee ability grants grenade energy, and grapple is the most unique interaction with impact induction in the entire game because it's a grenade that also counts as a charged melee, so it can proc impact induction for itself. So it's time for another Carl example. Hit him with the grapple, spam Thorn, and just watch our grapple charge zoom back up. We can get it back in just a few seconds. The whole poison theme of Strand Warlock does wonders for Thread of Generation. And here's a shameless plug, but the other day I did a Celestial Nighthawk build video, and some of you guys may remember from that video there was a section where I talked about how rapid fire frame fusion rifles generate a lot of super energy because of each individual bolt hitting the target in rapid succession, and super energy is generated based on, you know, the amount of hits you do, and so on and so forth. It's complex, but Thread of Generation works the same way that concept does. So we want to use a rapid fire frame fusion with this build, because with Generation, it generates a lot of grenade energy on hit. You can see against Carl there. So yeah, definitely use a fusion with this build. Now, just one last test with the Thorn before we fully break down the rest of the build. I wanted to do a side-by-side damage comparison against a heavy machine gun against Carl, so you can see that Thorn does a pretty hefty amount of damage. Still not quite as consistent as a machine gun, but then again, this is a primary, that's a heavy. So the Thorn is actually quite impressive, and I already said it at the very start of the video, but every time I use Thorn, I'm just blown away at how strong it is. It's ridiculous. So as for the rest of the build here, we have Weaver's Call. I like to combo this with the Mind Spun Grapple, so I like to grapple punch the target and then immediately cast my Rift to send out those 3 threadlings. All these threadlings that we're getting from the Mind Spun and this, we're making 6 in total, and they're getting boosted by 50% per threadling with Thread of Evolution. So you can do that little combo. I can show it against Carl here just so you can see. You can do a hefty chunk of burst damage by going grapple into Rift. So when you use Strand Warlock, I recommend getting used to using that combo. That is typically something you should do whenever you grapple. And then we got Thread of Ascent, probably my favorite fragment in the entire game for any subclass. This thing is just ridiculous, maxes out your reload speed, auto-reloads your weapon. And then we got Thread of Warding to give us Woven Mail, because that feels like you need that whenever you play Strand. You need a way to become tanky and survive. Now moving on to the mod setup. So as you can see right off the bat, we're using triple kinetic weapon surge to help out our Thorn, along with a copy of Time Dilation. All we gotta do is make orbs that we are making via heavy-handed, which that can proc off your threaded needle or your grapple melee, so it works with both. That's what I love about grapple on Strand. And then there's Kinetic Siphon for Thorn double kills, and Reaper, when we place on a Rift, our next weapon kill, will make an orb. And then we have Bomber to get some grenade energy back when we cast our Rift, and then on our helmet we got Heavy Ammo Finder and Scout. I always find it is necessary to run a Heavy Ammo Finder whenever you run a weapon that has lead from gold. So you can choose either the Cartesian or the Iterative Loop. It's your choice. And then we have various resist mods on our chest piece, and then we have Focusing Strike to get some Rift energy back when we cause damage with a charged melee attack, be it our grapple or our threaded needle. And for my heavy weapon of choice, I have the Cataphract with auto-loading bait and switch for DPS. There's also the option of the Eager Edge Sword if you want to skate around for quick content, and then there's the Apex Predator, obviously if somebody's using Gallarhorn. Now as for the stats, I would recommend a minimum of 100 Resilience, a minimum of 3 Intellect, and a minimum of 4 Strength. The rest is up to you, but I would highly recommend getting up to 100 in Discipline if you possibly can, and distribute the rest into Recovery and Strength. So there you have it for the build. Overall, I would say it's a pretty strong and versatile build. It can even output a lot of damage as well. Like if you're DPSing a boss, simply start by tossing out one of your little threaded needle melee abilities, because the Necrotic Grip will apply that poison to them as if you just stuck them with Witherhoard. Plus your Needle Storm Super has very good burst damage. So it can output a lot of damage while also being one of the strongest ad clear builds in the entire game as well. So as for the gameplay loop, there really isn't one. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just get Thorn kills and pick up the remnants and just keep on going like that. I mean, everything you do spreads poison. You just let the Necrotic Grips do all the work for you. And I guess just remember that every time you grapple, drop a Rift right after. Just grapple Rift whenever you have the chance to. So as always, I'll leave a dim loadout link to the build down below in the description and the pinned comment if you would like to give it a try. And if you have any buddies who are Warlock mains, I'd appreciate if you share the video with them. I'm sure they'd find it enjoyable. If you're looking for a solid ad clear build, you cannot go wrong with this one. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you drop a like and a comment, because interacting with the video by clicking things and commenting and stuff like that, it really helps out the algorithm, so I'd appreciate if you click something. And if you are new here, please consider subscribing. Would love to have you here. And with that, I'll catch you in the next video. See you later.